everyone. Very good afternoon. Welcome to KYE Interactive. I am your host, Trupta Kolgud Nadkarni. We've spoken to so many entrepreneurs from so many diverse fields on this digital platform, and they've all told us, they've shared their amazing stories of why they wanted, to become an entrepreneur, why they didn't want the typical 9 to 5, and so on. Basically, they wanted to follow what they're passionate about. So my guest today is Nidhi Behl Vats. She's a PR expert, a motivational speaker, a social media influencer, an author, a strategic consultant, and the founder of the website storyofsouls.com. It is a platform which has been highly appreciated by the All India Radio. Nidhi found her calling with a digital storytelling venture. We're going to find out more about that. She feels that storytelling is the best way to express, your brand and, what it is about your brand. That's the best way to explain it. She's also the recipient of various awards, such as the WOW Miss Social Media Inspire Award, then the award by Her Story Times, and the National Excellence Award. And she has also been featured by several magazines. That's a very impressive resume indeed, and we can't wait to find out more from Nidhi. So hi Nidhi, and welcome to the KYE platform. How are you doing today?
Yeah, hi Trupta, I'm doing really well. Thank you for calling me here. I'm really fortunate to be here with you and sharing my thoughts about it.
Thank you. Yeah, pleasure. So, please get started. Tell us about Story of Souls, and you've done so many things. You're an influencer, an author, consultant. How did it all come about?
Yeah, I don't say it all came about in one go, but I think this has been a journey with me through I think it's now 12 years by now. Wow. By the time I am into these all things, working all the things from home. So I'm a person who never wanted to sit idle. So I started my journey in, I think 2011 that was, or 2010 somewhere. So after my marriage, when my hubby and we moved abroad, so I left my full-time job. So there it all began. When it began, I never knew how to write. In fact, today people say me I write really well, but I had been a hardcore, admin person who has been into, operations, dealing with everybody. Writing an email is a task that has been a stage with me. But there was a time when we were in Jakarta, so there is a language barrier which has happened, and most of the time when Indians move there, so language was an issue. So whenever you were searching Google, that time Google wasn't so, conversant, that kind of a friendly, you don't have audios, images, other such kind of searches available. So the content was the only thing which will able to guide you. And language part, which now Google has for every country. Within India, there are so many languages. Now Google is offering their software into. But that time, none of that thing was there. And in fact, the translator was a new tool which Google has invented. And then it was really, really bad at that time. And half of the things were misspelled and never gave you the right kind of gesture or way to communicate and all those things. So that was when my hubby's boss, we just met and he spoke me, then you are so qualified and every such thing, you have your mind and every such thing. Why don't you start writing something about the Indians, those who ever come to you, and maybe you start building your network, and that's how you will be able to spend your time rather than just being sitting idle. And that's how it all began. So I started with the blog. That time there was a blogger by the Google, which app was available that time. So I started blogging on that. So it was moving to the foreign land was the basic title that we have kept. And then we've posted mostly about Jakarta, the best place to be for Indians, where they can reside, with the general queries like which are the best Indian schools or schools for the Indian people who can have their kids there. What should be a basic salary structure? Very, very basic questions. From where did you find the spices? Because that was an alien place, and how can you eat more of golgappa or a pani puri stuff, the Indian restaurants. So that's how we started. Yeah. So that's how we started, and then it picked up well. I created a good network. Then he has a page by the name of Jakarta Indians. So the moment I ventured in, he already told me I don't have much of the time. So I wanted to expand into blogs and all. So when I started writing blogs, he said, now merge them, because that's where the queries are coming in to us on a regular basis. So that's how you can communicate. share, rather than giving them an answer, share that blog with these people, and this will be more helpful and valuable. So that's how the journey began, and I never knew that one can earn through this, and this could actually be a profession. And a freelancer as a term, actually I have been working as a freelancer, but I got to know about this term in I think 2014, when there was a freelancer.com website which became a huge hype amongst every professional and all that thing.
Right.
So I never knew that I have already taken a lead while doing all these things. I was just trying to build something meaningful rather than just being sitting idle.
Help people.
So,
right?
yeah, and we developed network. It was a very good network we started created, and it was not only that the Indians who were interested. Then we started having some business people. Networking happened from various countries. We have queries from Singapore people and other such places which were nearby to Indonesia. So South Asian countries. So where the Indians have been living in, and they wanted to expand, or they were thinking, is this the right place if we wish to expand? So that's how we started building and meeting and other such stuff. We started sharing our information with these people. And that's how we started building on. And then I moved to India and I started getting content writing assignments. So, but I never been into a full-time work, but I have written for some magazines. They were US magazines because my background has been into healthcare.
Achha.
So I started writing with, healthcare magazines within India. There was a magazine by the US mid-monthly. Now it's not operational anymore, but that time it was working. I have written a lot for them as an administrative people. So they wanted to have my experience in a very basic language rather than just writing in a medical jargon altogether. That's what they were not looking into. So that was the time, I think in 2014 till 17 or 14 till 16, it was a really peak when a lot of healthcare setups were coming online. And the wellness industry was booming. I have seen it booming like anything. Today is flooded, but I have seen it booming. And that was the time I was really handy for a lot of people because they were not looking at very jargon or medicine or the medical terms for the common people. At the same time, they wanted someone who has that knowledge of the medical stuff and can comprehend it for a common person. So that's where, So I, as a content writer, could give them that level of, right content and the right mix for a lot of people. So that's how I picked up. Lots and lots of people started getting associated with me. Then, in the similar pattern, there were so many individual magazines they started moving into. So that was the time I expanded and started having a very generic kind of people. Before that, it has been more into healthcare, but then since the style has been same and I knew how to write the content, so I moved into various industries. So then I started writing for generic topics, starting from anything to everything. Maybe it was organic, products, it was a product description or anything or everything. So a lot of things started coming my way. The best part was I have been associated with some really nice, maybe industry, maybe organizations, because I have written for Jindals, I have written for Amar Ujala, and Amar Ujala has moved into healthcare. So I still remember the senior person, he said that, I have more than 5,000 writers with me and none of them can actually write somewhere good in healthcare. Wow. So that's how I wrote, and things have been fine, and really lovely people have been associated. So people used to say, rather my hubby was also concerned that you keep on writing, but then you won't be paid for all those things. So however, that concern is still there. I don't deny onto it because up till now there isn't any proper legal kind of framework being developed to protect the rights for those who are writing online. Although since the lockdown has happened, everything has moved online. I'll say 100% things have moved online. Today, so bills generation and everything has gone online. You hardly meet people in person. So that is one thing which should be there in the times to come, so that to protect the rights. So, but this has been a very rare part where this has happened with me.
Okay.
So that has been a nice.
Correct. So how about story of souls? Like how did that come about? Did you ever feel at any point you want to go to 9 to 5? Or how did this website come about?
No, rather the time when I started getting work, so it became very hectic for me because during this journey, I became mom. I have 2 daughters by now. So the journey has been really helpful in managing both the things. So while I had spare time, I could write for the clients, and it was my discretion completely. Am I willing to take up more work, or will not working is work good for me, or whatever I have is a handful for me to take up more assignments. So this was my call completely, which I really enjoyed, the freedom which you gain while you work as a freelancer, which you will never have when you have a 9 to 5 kind of a job. You will always be responsible. There will be calls being on holidays and wherever you are, maybe you are sick or ill. So that freedom, I think lots of women would love to have. All you need is a dedication, and you should be consistent and disciplined while you are pursuing this passion, because you should be very clear in saying that individual whosoever is coming to you and asking for the work, say that I am at the moment handful, or maybe I have my commitments in the coming next 1 month or 2 months. Maybe it could be a family vacation or whatever. Your kid is not well. You don't have to explain, but just tell them that you don't have a time to pick your stuff, rather than picking it, holding on to it, and then having a bad name. It's good to say no.
Absolutely.
So I learned this very early, that it's good to say no, because once I took one project and suddenly there was an uncertainty that has happened. So I just felt that 2 to 3 projects, if I'm handling individually, I should be picking up, and won't be taking up more than that. So I tell them very clearly that up till 1 month, or this much is the time frame by which I'm really tied up. After which, if you want to wait, then we can speak about it. Otherwise, you can move ahead with someone else.
Yeah.
So this is really helpful. Actually, this has worked, and trust me, there have been people who waited for me to get free and then to write about them. Yeah. So I actually have seen that thing, and some entrepreneurs today, they are doing really, really well. So I wrote for their websites, and they started doing good. So they always say that, ma'am, you are a lucky charm.
Because for itself, Nidhi. So I want to ask my next question. What is it about this field that will kick milka hai aapko, it gives you a sense of accomplishment, satisfaction?
Well, I wasn't aware of it that I could really write, to be honest, because I'm not an English honors person, nor is it that I'm a journalist student. So writing was like, you just write an essay for your exam and then you are done, or an email once you go into the office. But I never knew that I can write. However, I had a hobby, and I have a diary maintained with me, and I keep on writing my thoughts. But I never knew that, this is somewhere where my calling is, So that's where I said that I moved into my calling. Rather, before leaving my job, I have been cribbing to my hobby. Like I left my job, my profession, my career, for which I have been working, sweating day in and out, brilliant. And now nothing is there in my hand. But then as I started gradually moving into, I think Sharad became the guiding angel there in Jakarta. You never knew, but then I realized in 2014 or 15 that I'm actually falling into something which is more loving for me, it's more peaceful for me, and rather it's giving me more charm to write rather than to speak. So I started speaking less, and my hubby said, you started speaking less? I said, yeah, but I started writing more. So I started channelizing my energy with the writing and putting my thoughts into more of the research. Google became my mentor, absolutely and completely, because through Google I learned so many ways of writing. There have been times when initially I got rejected. I was like paid for like 20 paisa per word, to which I really felt bad. Like, being to a profession where, somewhere was your designation and something, and now starting again and just 20 paisa for what I'm working. Though my hubby straightforward told me, no, that's not something that you want to write for, so just leave it. And this is happening with a lot of writers. I don't know why are they not able to pull or scale to a level where, they understand where they actually do, or up till where they want to connect, or this should be their level.
Right.
But I don't know, there are times when people don't understand that thing. So that's where people feel frustrated being a writer. And then they stay being a writer for, I think, for life.
Yeah, that's true, because, and I think this kind of ties into one of the barriers also, right? Like when you started, you just told me one, but were there other challenges or obstacles that you had to face? Like you just told me about the 20 paise being really underpaid, but besides that,
Yeah.
were there any other obstacles you
Big 20 pesos, and then you have been actually been scolded like never been before in your life. Like, what the hell are you writing? It's like a housemaker who does not have a value at all, and then you have been told about it. But then I think if your thoughts are solid, and you are able to create a content which is really unique.
Correct.
So that's when you are able to create a right content, because a content rightly written will actually have a lot of value for even an entrepreneur. In fact, I remember that there has been a time an entrepreneur, he changed his entire layout of the website, but he firmly stick to the content. He just loved the content the way I have written, and he said nothing can happen, not a word or not a full stop should ever go from this content. He again asked me that email, and he said that this guy, he lost the content and every old data. So just send me the entire Word document that you have created with us when we work, share it out with me. And I want this again to be uploaded with the new style and other such stuff.
Right.
So I think only thing which is speaking is your content.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. So, and how does the content come to you? It comes through your thoughts.
Yeah, you have to sit and think about it, right? And then it comes. Yes. I think there's a particular moment, right? It just clicks, फिर वो आता है, and
Yes. I agree to it. It happens. But then I think with me, it is mostly when I meditate a lot. So it is mostly the morning hours where I used to write. So morning 4 to 6 or to 7. That is the best time. I mean, being a mother also, that's the best time. You have a peace in your mind and your house also.
Exactly.
So that's the time when I mostly write. So this has helped me. Yeah.
So where do you see your venture in the future, Nidhi? Where, what are your business goals or aspirations with regards to your venture?
Well, when we started with Story of Souls, I never knew that this could reach to a level where a lot of appreciation is gonna come in, and some unexplored stories are gonna come into us. And I can actually bet that the Google does not have so many stories and so many known real people who are there on Google, but which we have on our platform. And we have seen a growth for these people also. And 2017 was a time when we had actually struggles. And again, it was a time for me to struggle, because when we asked for people to share their story, they used to say, why do you want my story? What is it so special that you want my story for? And are you going to blackmail me? Is anyone from my family has asked you to take my data or something like that? So we listened a lot, and today people are just dying to share their story. But then there was a time when I actually have to tell them that your stories are actually going to inspire a lot of people who are, doing something meaningful. And maybe it is for those who are in dark stages, because I could relate myself into a time when I was feeling low, and I don't know how things could have helped me better rather than writing. So for me, writing is an healing. So this is the basic concept that I've created, and that platform is not for me to write. That platform has mostly to do with all of those people who just wanted to share their story. And then we realized there is a family who do not have time to listen to your story. But then, of course, there are readers across the world who would love to read your story, and maybe they feel inspired about it. And that's how it has actually happened.
Right.
And yeah, that has actually helped.
Yeah, absolutely. All different stories, and I'm sure somebody sitting somewhere, like you said, everything is online now, so they're bound to be, inspired by it.
Yeah.
So, you're a mompreneur, and I'm sure you balance your time really well. How has this changed you? Like just now in the course of this interview, I can see how you're juggling everything. So how has it changed you?
Yeah, see, I think this is a very consistent effort, I'll say. I have become more peaceful within myself. And why am I not so panicky, or as you asked me a question about 5 years down the line. So, some things have happened, but I see as an experience, like you can achieve some of those things within 6 months. You never know.
Correct.
So I never had any plans in my mind as a goal, because how have we, since I am multitasker, I think Story of Souls is also as a one point solution for the content now, for the PR stuff now, and the digital marketing. So we are offering these 4 services, which we never knew could we actually pull into, and we could scale to a level where we connect with someone, and we have a team where these people are able to, put in their heart. That's more important with me, because I think just to work, and if you are skillful, is something which is not really required for when you want to work with me, because for me, you should have your heart. If you love it, you will definitely gonna give me best than whatever I am visualizing or my client is actually asking for, because I am also working from a heart. And humanity and just connecting with the right vibes is what I have always consistently famous for, because a lot of people, they come back to me and then they say, in fact, very recently I have picked up a healthcare project and I started writing for them, and this guy, he's a known entrepreneur, but then he's a very good friend of mine, and he said, I have been searching in the entire industry to get someone to write my content. Please do it for me. So this was the starting line, and said, I know you are not into all that anymore, but please do it for me. I am at hall. So, I was like, God. So that's how people know me, and it's really nice to have that respect that you earn for these people, and then they are the people who have referred.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, dil se karte, then it doesn't feel like work also. You're enjoying it.
आप बोर नहीं होते हो, आपको स्ट्रेस नहीं रहता है, फिर स्टोरी ऑफ सोल्स बढ़ जाएगा, बढ़ने की पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से ही बनाया है, बट द रीजन टू ग्रो दिस इज टू रीच टू दोज पीपल who actually need it. We don't create content just for the sake of ranking, or just for the sake that we just need to do something, to show it to the world. If the person whose story we are trying to feature is being able to do it in a proper manner, is a much better thing, or we should devote more time into that individual journey of that person. Because we have created a lot of people's profile. They got award. We are associated with some of the award organizations and the founders. So they really appreciate whenever there are awards happening. They ask us some recommendations.
Okay, great. So,
yeah, we have some different people, unique people whom nobody would have ever heard of. So they always ask for recommendation from our side if we have someone, still an unexplored hero or an unsung story with us. So they pick it up.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what would you like to say to all the budding or upcoming entrepreneurs? A lot of times they have ideas, or even mompreneurs, maybe, they have ideas but don't know how to go about it. So what would you like to say?
See, if you have an idea now and you just are passionate that yes, so then do it. It is not only about money. I'll rather say, if you are gossiping or if you are just moving out just to kill your time, and you feel that there is a vacuum within you, trust me, this will give you a fulfillment and a satisfaction that you are doing something meaningful. So I don't say that we reach to a level wherein we are so amazing, or we are earning like in dollars or maybe in billions or millions, but yes, we are trying to contribute in a very meaningful way, and for those who we have helped is actually meaningful for them. Absolutely. And because everyone have their own resources, their time limit, so don't look into those who have reached to a level. Maybe they would have done a lot of sacrifices, but are you willing to do those level of sacrifices with you or with your life or for your family? Then it's good to go. You can be a blunt business person, but then if you are a humanitarian, I have mostly seen with the women, they are mostly an humanitarian kind of an entrepreneur who can never be a cutthroat kind of a person. I myself have taken a decision at times when money is not that a thing, but I have collaborated with something which is really meaningful, because like this mental, what to say, these days there are a lot of, mental blockages have been there. So how to heal your mental blocks, and, there are a lot of stories which we have covered within the lockdown when people were struck, they were feeling bad.
Yeah.
So where we have featured their stories and we just try to help them, let them vent it out, because some stories we have pulled out as they moved into their jobs and other such places, and they said that please don't put it that way. So we either make it anonymous later on or we remove it. If they request, then we remove it also. So that's okay, because if they are happy now, the only thing is you have survived. You are not, sunk in a stage where depression is a loop and then you are again sulking. That should not be the stage. That's what the only purpose that we want to serve.
Yeah.
So if we have saved some lives, I think that's more than valuable for me as an individual. To be an entrepreneur is a secondary thing. These are all the names, because I think I have left my names and titles and tags and designations way long back.
Right.
So nothing actually matters. What matters?
Yeah.
You should be a person who should be helpful, because for me it was tough, because today everything is online. So I agree. But then there was a time when I wasn't. So how do I help people when I'm sitting at home? So I just felt that this is my venture to help people across the globe. So we have some beautiful stories coming in from US, some New Zealand, and there is this LGBT community whom we have been contacted by in New York. And in New Zealand also we have a story of one guy who's on wheelchair. And we have it from all across the globe, I think, by now. Some Dubai stories are there. Singapore woman, we just recently entrepreneur, she's there. So she's an Indian entrepreneur in Singapore.
Oh,
so we
wow.
just featured her. So yeah. So it's a good connect. You just connect through online.
Yeah.
These people, they keep coming on to us. The stories are falling into the inbox.
Right.
So then we connect with them.
Right.
So that's how we are doing. Now it has reached to a little better scalable. So we have okay kind of a range now. So stories are pouring. Now it's gone the stage when I have to explain to the people that why you should have your story.
Now the stories just keep pouring in. And
Yeah.
Nidhi, it was really wonderful speaking with you on this KYE digital platform, and you shared such valuable insights. And we want to thank you for coming here and speaking with us. And we want to wish your venture all the very best, storyofsouls.com. Please do check it out, viewers. There's some really nice inspirational stories. Thank you so much, Nidhi.
Thank you, Trupta, for having me. And